Hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Politics Today. So, we'll be going through part 5 and 6 of the Pact with Nigeria, the Labour Party's manifesto. So, let's go through that right now. We did part 1 and 2 2 days ago, and yesterday we did parts 3 and 4, and today we'll be doing parts 5 and 6. Let's go. Build expansive and world-class infrastructure for efficient power supply, rail, road and air transportation, and pipeline network through integrated public-private partnerships and entrepreneurial public sector. I. We will address current bottlenecks in extant national policies and frameworks with a view to unlock resources for investment in critical physical and social infrastructure. 2. We will seek to harmonize agencies involved in the infrastructure space to address coordination failures that impede effectiveness and efficiency. 3. We will explore innovative solutions to address the shortcomings in the current PPP regime. The World Bank recognizes this in its recent switch to blended finance as a means to improve PPPs and market-based approaches provisioning to infrastructure provisioning in developing countries like ours. Our government shall go beyond blended finance to create mechanisms to scale infrastructure financing, incentivizing not only corporate tax credit application to infrastructure, but also philanthropy and community-based infrastructure bonds. 4. We will integrate existing master plans for infrastructure, gas, road, railway, urban mass transit, telecommunications, broadband, water, sewage, and electricity to create national multi-utility transport tunnels (MUT) for co-location of subsurface infrastructure development with the objective of achieving cost efficiency and a one-stop solution to right-of-way issues for accelerated infrastructure development. 5. We will sign into law the National Transport Commission Act passed into law in 2018 and refused assent by the President, and establish the National Transport Commission as an integrated economic regulator to make the transport sector efficient, bankable for private sector investment. 6. We will upgrade and vigorously further reform the country's power generation, transmission and distribution network with the aim of achieving in the next 4 years the generation and distribution of about 20,000 megawatts. We will liberalize the transmission components of the electricity value chain to complement the already privatized generation and distribution subsectors to significantly increase the generation of and distribution of electricity to Nigerians. To achieve this, our power sector agenda will be: A. Review the Nigerian Electric Power Policy (NEPP) to adapt its fundamental premises to the changes in global economics and align its pro-market policies to the experiences of pragmatic economic management. B. Revise the current barrier of 1 megawatt and below for licensing to up to 10 megawatts to enable decentralized and off-grid solutions to grid energy, to complement grid energy and to incentivize more investment in the power value chain. C. Promote a healthy energy mix that increases the share of renewable and clean energy in line with global trends: hydro, wind, thermal, solar, etc. D. Improve transmission services by establishing the Independent System Operator (ISO) and the Transmission Service Provider (TSP) from the current TCN in order to enhance efficient and non-discriminatory dispatch, and coordination. E. Establish a presidential task force on immediate power improvement to pressure utility operators to deliver weekly improvement on quality and quantity of electrical services to homes and businesses across Nigeria. F. Execute full metering of customers within a reasonable period to enhance accountability in the electricity market. G. To rebuild investors' confidence in the Nigerian electricity market, we will engage customers and the public in transparent communication backed up with quick wins to support full commercialization of the sector on the basis of value for money. 7. The current barrier of 1 megawatt and below for licensing shall be reviewed upwards to incentivize more investment in power value chain. We will promote a healthy energy mix that increases the share of renewable and clean energy in line with global trends, hydro, wind, thermal, solar, etc. 8. We will diversify the funding for our national surface transportation system, roads, rails, bridges, and mass transit, and programs with the creation of the Highway Trust Fund Act, of the Highway Trust Fund account. This account will be funded jointly by federal government, states, and private sector on a ratio to be agreed with government participation, limited to those areas where there is a clear market value. 9. We will vigorously support the private sector to construct fiber optic backbone connecting all tertiary institutions and state capitals to enable free broadband access for accelerated digital transformation of the economy. 10. We will deploy Nigerians' enormous natural gas reserves to incentivize our gas-based industries to drive industrial revolution and provide 24-hour electricity for the entire nation. 11. We will create financing incentives to unlock private capital provision of affordable social housing for Nigerian workers and people in proximity to their businesses and workplaces. 12. We will build a Nigerian maritime sector that will leverage on in-country value creation / addition, optimizing shipping and shipbuilding value chain, and unleash positive spillover effects on other sectors of the economy. In this regard, the Cabotage Vessels Finance Fund (CVFF) will be enhanced and channeled to catalyze ship boat building and repairs, open up the inland waterways, river ports and jetties, and link our rivers and creeks with coastal trade, including goods and passenger movement, provide for physical security and provide maritime safety in our coastal and inland waterways, effective dredging, markings, and management of the waterways, identification of routes based on passenger and cargo concentrations, and finally building maintenance and repairs of the watercrafts that are specific to all these concentrations. 13. A comprehensive plan for livestock production will be worked out for nomadic rearers through innovation and the erection of dams and irrigation facilities in arid-prone areas. Forage production and will be accessible to farmers. All right, this is the end of 5, so we're going to do 6. Next, number 6, enhance the human capital and Nigerian youth. Enhance the human capital of Nigerian youth for productivity and global competitiveness through investment in world-class scholarship and research, quality healthcare, and entrepreneurship education. 1. The World Bank's Human Capital Development Index ranks Nigeria 168 out of 173 countries. To move Nigeria to right to the top bracket of the index, we will pursue a Marshall Plan type program on education that incorporates compulsory technical and vocational skills, sports, entrepreneurship, programming, and digital skills from the primary to the secondary level. In line with this commitment to transform our educational sector, We will prioritize the funding of this critical sector. Our tertiary institutions will be remodeled to serve as hubs or centers for research, development, and commercialization of ideas for the quick industrialization of Nigeria. 2. Following from this, our government shall prioritize education to serve the following functions: technical and industry relevance, alignment with local comparative advantages and factor endowments, modern skills proficiency, critical thinking, ethical citizenship values, global competitiveness, and talent export. Our government will enter into strategic partnerships with state governments, private-led groups, and international partners to establish incubators that will train young Nigerians in the latest digital technological skills, provide workspaces, access to seed funding, and by mentorship and mentorship by industry experts. So I think this page 30, the last line should read the last sentence. Let's take it again because I think there's a typo here. The last paragraph. So let's just read the last sentence. Our program will enter into strategic partnerships with state governments, private led groups, and international partners to establish incubators that will train young Nigerians in the latest digital and technological skills, provide workspaces access to seed funding, and I think this M should go past the by. So I and mentorship by industry experts. I think that's the way you should read. And mentorship by industry experts. Experts. All right. 3. Achieving the revolution we envisage for the educational sector will require bold initiatives, including retraining, retooling, and recertification of teachers, incentivizing industry experts to take up teaching roles in partnership with universities, curriculum overhaul, and policy and institutional review. 4. We will prioritize scaling up Nigeria's Human Capital Index through significant and sustainable funding for the health, education, sports, and social welfare sectors, with the imperative of improving the remuneration and conditions of service for our teachers, health workers, and administrators. 5. We will introduce a mandatory No Child Left Behind educational policy, mindful that Nigerians' inadequate investment in social sectors, health, education, and housing has resulted in the current dismal social and demographic trends, reflected in low life expectancy, teenage pregnancies, high maternal mortality rate, large number of out of school children, huge unmet housing needs, as well as high youth unemployment. 6. We will address the gaps in the legislation guiding the funding access modalities in Universal Basic Education Commission (UBEC) and the Tertiary Education Trust Fund (TED Fund) to remove prevailing bottlenecks, create greater transparency, and ensure increased flexibility and optimum availability of funds required to meet the educational need of the Nigerian youth, whom they are meant to serve. The Ministry of Education will work out a public-private model that involves private corporations assuming funding and managerial responsibilities in a specially restructured taxation plan. This design will see some private corporations pay their taxes in the form of taking management of a school while the ministry continues to retain ownership, set the national curriculum, and manage other oversight functions. This will reduce the bottlenecks and burden of the government and ensure that education is delivered with consistent high quality. 7. We will provide health insurance cover to 133 million poorest Nigerians, including pregnant women and the aged and the disabled. This shall be without discrimination by socioeconomic status, in line with the constitutional provisions as captured in Chapter 2, Section 13 Section 17, subsection 3D of our Constitution, the the NHIS shall be strengthened in an efficient manner to stimulate private sector driven health provision, driven by accessibility and affordability to cover informal sector workers, the weak and the vulnerable. 8. We will strive to honor Nigerians' commitment pursuant to the 2001 African Union Abuja Declaration on HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and other related infectious diseases, which set the target of allocating at least 15% of the annual budget to the improvement of the health sector in African countries. 9. We will put to an end the financial resources depleting practice of medical tourism by supporting national teaching hospitals to specialize in niche areas of medicine, thus enjoying expeditious faculty and facilities enhancement and the attendant comparative advantage. We will implement the National Health Act of 2014 to the letter and enforce the provision of its Section 46. This will be followed with further actions to improve the quality and service delivery of our healthcare system as follows. A. Strengthening the leadership, coordination, and integration of the health system while simultaneously improving its regulation, standardization, and quality of service. B. Comprehensive mapping of Nigeria's healthcare system occupational categories to generate relevant data on human capacity and resources for healthcare training with a view of reversing brain drain and stopping medical tourism while tapping into our huge diaspora capacity in healthcare. C. Effective overhaul and restructuring of training for all cadre of healthcare system providers. Stepwise scaling up stepwise scaling up of the healthcare system budget in line with Abuja Declaration while developing while devolving PHC funding directly to a revamped National Primary Healthcare Agency. E. Increase NHIS uptake with a robust healthcare insurance scheme at the basic healthcare level with a goal to provide cover for the 133 million poorest Nigerians, including pregnant women, children, elderly, and people living with disabilities. F. Generate innovative healthcare financing by encouraging public-private healthcare sector initiatives, implementing special taxes and duty waivers. This will include special incentives to encourage domestic production of pharmaceuticals, drugs, vaccines, and medical consumables. The incentives shall also be targeted at boosting research and the development in the healthcare system, together with their commercialization within a process that will be carefully audited, monitored, and evaluated. 10. Our government will enforce the requirements of the national gender governance across 10. I'll take 10 again. 10. Our government will enforce the requirements of the national gender policy aimed at promoting gender equity, affirmative action, and good governance across the three tiers of government. We shall enforce an equitable distribution of appointment to men, women, youth, and people living with disabilities. 11. We will facilitate both public and private sector investments to reactivate and reposition our sports sector to become globally competitive. The sports ministry shall be strengthened to attract investments through blended financial mechanisms towards developing sporting talent, revamping sporting facilities, and recreation centers across the nation. We will work with state governments to introduce state leagues in key sports such as football and basketball to enhance the youth and professionalization of grassroots sports. This would create thousands of jobs for the youth. 12. We will encourage the establishment of integrated health training institutions and provide the necessary incentives for active private sector participation. 13. We will deploy available national resources combined with extant policies and programs to tackle and reduce the high rate of youth unemployment and address the high prevalence of our national youth population that are categorized as NEET, not in education, employment, or training. 14. We will vigorously support the creative industries, fashion, music, art, film, entertainment to become significant areas of our comparative advantage and also sources of job creation for our youth and tourism. We will support the establishment of institutions to provide training and certification for our youths in the creative industries. 15. In pursuing our goal of not leaving anyone behind and birthing a new Nigeria that works for all, our government will cater to the specific needs of people living with disabilities, PLWDs. Be very physical, learning, be they physical, learning, or psychological. For example, through the provision of appropriate alternative access to public buildings and spaces. Our national policy of PLWDs will be based on the recognition that they are bona fide members of society and that they can be productively engaged. We will therefore guarantee them equitable rights in line with our constitution. Any unjust discrimination against such persons will be criminalized. 16. The prevalence of multidimensional poverty in Nigeria today is unarguably the outcome of failed government policies and rigged prosperity resulting from oil theft, poverty inducing fuel subsidy program, and woeful macroeconomic policies. These have resulted in a few wealthy households having disproportionate access to economic opportunities, whereas millions of Nigerians languish in absolute and degenerate poverty. While government policies have exacerbated poverty, the policy responses to tackling it has fared worse. Attempts over the past years to directly target poverty through various pro-poor developmental programs have yielded little or no result. We shall not continue on the same track. Our approach to poverty alleviation is to engineer massive economic growth that will create jobs, grow incomes, build capacities and capabilities across the breadth of the socioeconomic divide. We will bake a larger pie and ensure that the prosperity is shared in an all-inclusive and equal opportunity basis. Our approach to tackling poverty will discourage citizens from the Stockholm syndrome, where they become slaves to the same political elites that immersed them in poverty in the first place. Poor policy choices and massive distortion of the operation of the private sector by the government, example, multiple exchange rates, multiple taxation, and capital control contribute to Nigeria's current poor economic condition. More so, the ineffective communication of government decisions amplifies uncertainty about the country's economic prospects and thereby discouraging both local and foreign investment. We will create massive economic opportunities to ensure that individuals not only bootstrap themselves out of poverty but begin to aspire to the lofty heights of the good life as enshrined in our constitution. Poverty breeds insecurity, which in turn worsens poverty. Our commitment to tackle insecurity head on will guarantee peace and security of citizens and property. Okay, I'm going to take this paragraph again. Poverty breeds insecurity, which in turn worsens poverty. Our commitment to tackle insecurity head on will guarantee peace and security of citizens and property, which is a necessary condition for development and growth that solve the problem of poverty. We will resource the generation of quality data on livelihoods to monitor poverty. Poverty is lack of capacity and capability. Our human capital development strategy will ensure that all Nigerians are equipped with skills and talents to fend for themselves. These interventions will focus on expanding access to quality health and nutrition, education, and labor force participation in every Nigerian and especially of every Nigerian and especially youth, women, and people living with disability. Our agricultural intervention will increase the productivity of agriculture, ensuring food security and meaningful jobs. Right, so here are some pictures. I guess they were to bootstrap to boost the points that were made here, ensuring food safe security and meaningful jobs. These are hospitals, education, graduation. So I think they could have put titles or maybe given figure numbers and then describe them later. But that's what it is. So here, communicable diseases, cardiovascular diseases. So what does this say? Main causes of death in Nigeria by 2019. So let's look at the bigger pies here. Other communicable diseases: malaria 13%, respiratory infection 12%, AIDS 10%, diarrhea 10%, other non-communicable diseases 7%, cardiovascular diseases 6%, cancers 5%, digestive 4%, unintentional injuries 3%, mental health 1%, traffic fatalities 1%, respiratory disease 1%, intentional injuries also another 1%, diabetes 1%. All right. So I guess these areas will be improved upon. So the data here is monetary poverty in Nigeria are less than 1.9 USD per day and person from 1985 to 2050. All right. Absolute number of poor people. The yellow line here, yellow dotted line, represent absolute number of poor people, and then the blue bars to represent the poverty rate. So by 2015, poverty rate was between 60 and 80, so around 70 something percent, 70 something million people. And by 2022, it was around 100 million around here. And then this trend, if it continues, the the poverty rate is a little bit higher now, so closer to uh between 2020 and 2025, so closer to 80 million people according to this chart. But the absolute poor people number for 2022 is um, closer to 100 million. This chart, if the trend continues, it means that by 2030, we will be at 100 and maybe 10 or 15 million. That's projections, actual people, absolute number of people. However, we already at 133, so this chart is not relevant anymore. Let's see, when was this data? Uh, when did they collect this data? What's the source? All right, the source is historical data from the World Bank, but when was it taken? All right, so let's go to the next one. Life expectancy and infant mortality, 1960 to 2050. So the solid lines represent Nigerian life expectancy, African lower middle income life expectancy, lower middle income globally life expectancy. So these three solid lines represent life expectancies, and then the dotted lines represent infant mortality. Africa is the dark blue, Then, sorry, Nigeria is the dark blue. Africa is the gold or the orangey one, and then the other one, what color is that? Is for the global. So Africa is the golden one, Nigeria is the blue, and then the rest of the world or global is the other dotted line. So as you can go from left to right. From 1960, the infant mortality is dropping, but life expectancy is increasing, which is, I think this is a good trend. Um, infant mortality should be dropping. So for Nigeria by 2022 around here, we're still higher than the world average in terms of infant mortality. We're higher than Africa, we're higher than the world. In terms of life expectancy, we are lower than Africa, we are lower than the world. So these numbers are not really great for Nigeria. All right, so we just have chapter 7 to go through, and I think that will be it. Chapter 7 is probably going to be very brief. So we will do chapter 7 tomorrow, or maybe we can just finish it up now. Yeah, let's do it now. Then we can focus on other things tomorrow. Chapter 7. Conduct an Afrocentric diplomacy that protects the rights of Nigerian citizens abroad and advance the economic interests of Nigerians and Nigerian businesses in a changing world. 1. While Africa will remain the focus of our foreign policy, we will prioritize Nigeria's economic interests through promoting Nigerian businesses and protecting our people across the globe. Trade and investment will remain core components of our African foreign policy. Our foreign policy will integrate citizen diplomacy and economic diplomacy. We will we will unrelenting protect the rights. Okay, so we will unrelenting. Like I'm just gonna read it the way I thought it should be written. We will unrelentingly protect the rights of Nigerian Nigeria anywhere in the world, as well as pragmatically respond to changes in the global economic order in a manner that leverage diplomacy for economic development in Nigeria. We will end the days of cocktail diplomacy. We will be developmentalists like South Korea and Japan under their reforming governments. 2. We will rebuild Nigeria's military power, reorganize its security architecture, and enhance its technological prowess to improve security at home and Nigeria's diplomatic influence in sub-regional, regional, and global affairs via peacekeeping activities. 3. We will proactively reassert Nigeria's leadership role in African affairs through constructive engagement using existing sub-regional and regional fora, as well as bilateral platforms for dialogue on current and emerging challenges. 4. We shall creatively deploy Nigeria's soft power in Africa and around the world through Nigeria's leading role in entertainment, music, and Nollywood to enhance the effectiveness of our domestic economic growth strategies. 5. We will pay special attention to the ECOWAS region in order to secure our borders and ensure the integrity of regional security and development. I think this is regional, so I'm going to take this 5 again. Some characters are missing and it makes it hard to read, but let's try. 5. We will pay special attention to the ECOWAS region in order to secure our borders and ensure the integrity of regional security and development. Architecture and development architecture that prom okay, I think I'm going to read it again. uh yeah, I put it the pause where there's no pause. Okay, let's do it again. 4. 5. We will pay special attention to the ECOWAS region in order to secure our borders to ensure the integrity of regional security and development architecture that promotes human security in Nigeria. Our strategic interest is peaceful and democratic West Africa as our primary sphere of influence. 6. Despite obvious challenges posed by migration, we will respect ECOWAS' freedom of movement protocols as it relates to movement of persons and goods. We will work with our neighbors to secure our borders and fight cross-border crimes while strengthening our, our immigration to account for movement into the country. 7. We will seek to restore credibility to Nigeria's foreign policy through its adherence to the leadership on regional initiatives and programs such as the African Continental Free Trade Agreement AfCFTA, the New Economic Partnership for African Development NEPAD or NEPAD, and the African Peer Review Mechanism. We will also do this through strengthening our relationship with our development partners and adherence and commitment to global peace and security. 8. We will prioritize the drive to expand Nigeria's exports by building strong bilateral relationships and end-user global markets. With end-user global markets. Okay. 8. Let's take it again. 8. We will prioritize the drive to expand Nigeria's exports by building strong bilateral relationships with end-user global markets. This will include creating structures such as nationally organized strategic trade and investment missions, which are industry targeted. In-country trade missions that complement our current foreign missions, with specific responsibilities to build up acceptable markets for made in Nigeria goods and services. 9. We shall embrace political entrepreneurialism. 9. We shall embrace political entrepreneurialism to directly lead missions to top original equipment manufacturers (OEMs) and leading global value chain headquarters, lobbying and granting them all the necessary incentives to expand their production and manufacturing value chains to our country, to link us to the important income growing and employment generating global value chains. So that's the end. So the next sections will be on biographies of our principal and our vice principal. So the man, Peter Gregory Onwubuasi Obi. Igbo words or Igbo names, their meaning is derived from the way you pronounce them. So, or their meaning will determine how you pronounce them, but you have to know the meaning first, or you have to know how to pronounce them first. So it could be Onwubuasi or Onwubuasi or Onwubuasi. But I'm just gonna assume that it's Onwubuasi, that death is lies, or that death is a lie, something like that. But let's just assume that that is what it is. Peter Gregory Onwubuasi Obi. And just like most Igbo names, the owner, the person who bears the name, might be the best person to tell you how to pronounce it. Mr. Peter Gregory Onwubuasi Obi, CON, place of birth on Onitsha, Nigeria, nationality Nigerian, marital status married with 2 children, date of birth 19th of July 1961. Educational institutions attended: Christ the King College, Onitsha. The program WASC, University of Nigeria Nsukka program, Bachelor of Philosophy. Lagos Business School, Nigeria, Chief Executive Program. Harvard Business School, Boston, USA, Meet Marketing. Harvard Business School, Boston, USA, Changing the Game. London School of Economics, Financial Management / Business Policy. Columbia Business School, New York, USA, Marketing Management. Institute of Management Development, Switzerland, Senior Executive Program. Institute for Management Development, Switzerland, Breakthrough Program for CEOs. Kellogg Graduate School of Management, USA, Advanced Executive Program. Kellogg School of Management, USA, Global Advanced Management Program. Oxford University, Said Business School, Advanced Management and Leadership Program. And finally, Cambridge University, George Business School, Advanced Leadership Program. Previous positions: Governor Anambra State of Nigeria 2006 to 2014. That includes 2 impeachments and 2 return to power. Member Presidential Economic Management Team till May 2015. Chairman Southeast Governors Forum 2008 to 2014. Honorary Special Advisor to the President on Finance till May 2015. Vice Chairman Nigeria Governors Forum 2008 to 2014. Former Chairman Board of Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC). Former Chairman Fidelity Bank. Former Chairman Future Views Securities Limited. Former Chairman Next International Nigeria Limited. Former Director Champs Nigeria PLC. Former Director Card Center PLC. Former Chairman Garden Express Mortgage Bank Limited. Former Chairman Paymaster Nigeria PLC. Former Director Garden Express Bank PLC. And former Director Emerging Capital Limited. Membership of professional associations, organizations. Member Nigeria Economic Summit Group. Member Nigerian Chartered Institute of Bankers. Member British Institute of Directors. Membership of federal government committees. As Governor of Anambra State, served as member of Federal Government Committee on Minimum Wage, Federal Government Committee on Negotiation with Labor on Subsidy, Federal Government Committee on Mass Transit, Federal Government Committee on Natural Resources, National Economic Council Committee on Power Sector Reform, National Economic Council Committee on Sharing of MDGs funds, National Economic Council Committee on Accurate Data on Nigeria's Oil Import and Export, Agricultural Transformation Implementation Council, Subcommittee on Needs Analysis of Public Universities in Nigeria, National Economic Council Review Committee on the Power Sector. Award in recognitions 2015 Golden Jubilee Award from Catholic Diocese of Onitsha for outstanding contribution to quality healthcare delivery in St. Charles Borromeo Hospital in particular and Anambra State in general on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee celebration of the hospital 2014. Nigerian Library Association Golden Merit Award for remarkable improvement of libraries in Anambra State, exemplified by the construction of the Kenneth Dickey Digital State Library, remarkable upgrade of the Onitsha Divisional Library, and provision of the library facility in secondary schools across the state. 2014 still champion newspaper most outstanding Igbo man of the decade. 2014 still the voice of newspaper Holland Achievers Award for outstanding example in leadership and governance. 2013 Silver Bird Man of the Year with Governor Babatunde Fashola of Lagos State. 2012 Business Hallmark Newspaper Man of the Year. 2012 still Golden Award of Prudence by Methodist Church of Nigeria as the most financially prudent governor in Nigeria. I think this one is what they call him stingy. Okay, he has allergy for wastage. All right. 2012 still Leadership and Good Governance Award by the Ezefe Leadership Foundation Award for restoring peace and harmony in Anambra State. 2012 still Best Performing Governor on Immunization in Southeast Nigeria by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. 2012 still Outstanding Financial Planner and Manager by the Church of Nigeria Anglican Commission for my resourcefulness and creativity in governance. I think you should say for his resourcefulness and creativity in government. 2011 Zik Leadership Prize. 2010 ICT Governor of the Year by the West African ICT Development Award. 2009 Champion Newspaper Nigeria's Most Trustworthy Governor Award. 2009 State This Day Newspaper Most Prudent Governor in Nigeria Award. Again, we know they give Shishi Award. And 2007 The Sun Newspaper Man of the Year Award. The The Nigerian MDG's office slash UNDP best governor in the implementation of the MDGs in Nigeria. The year was missing for this. I'm assuming 2016 or 2006 or 2007 still, but that is missing. All right, so let's move on. Fundamental achievements as governor, Anambra State, partial listing. Fundamental achievements as governor of Anambra State, partial listing. Anambra, Anambra was the first state to commence sub-sovereign wealth savings, the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, at a time when many governors were leaving huge debts. He left the equivalent of $500 million in investment as well as local and foreign currency, including 156 million in dollar-denominated bonds. Number two, for the first time in the history of Anambra State, ambassadors and high commissioners of notable countries such as the United States, Britain, Russia, European Union, South Africa, Belgium, Israel, and the Netherlands, Canada, among others, visited the state. Before his tenure, Anambra was practically a pariah state, blacklisted by the diplomatic corps and international development partners. Number three, development partners such as UNDP, the World Bank, DFID, the European Union, etc., which hitherto were not in Anambra State, started working with the state. Anambra was consistently judged one of the best states in development in development partnership and commitment to reforms for good governance. Four, he was recognized as best governor by the Millennium Development Goals Office, OSSAP, MDGs, and the UNDP in the implementation of their programs in Nigeria. The Nigerian Debt Management Office, DMO, rated Anambra as the least indebted state in Nigeria, in spite of visible and measurable achievements recorded in various sectors. The state under him did not borrow or raise bonds for their various projects. 6. The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria rated Anambra State as the most financially stable state in the country. 7. Growing breaking return of schools to their original the state's groundbreaking return of schools to the original owners, voluntary agencies, that is churches, on the 1st of January 2009, and subsequent partnership with the agencies in education saw the state move from 24th position out of 36 to number 1 in National Examination Council and NACO and West African Examination Council (WAEC) examinations for 3 consecutive years. This made the World Bank to commission a study led by the renowned Professor Paul Collier of Oxford University on this revolutionary partnership and phenomenal achievement. The state also entered into strategic partnership with the churches in the health sector. This symbolic relationship resulted in a tremendous boost to health care because the services offered by health institutions owned by voluntary agencies, while the state restored grants to the agencies that made available to them more than $50 million in various types of support. Through partnership with the church in the health sector, his government funded the transformation of A. Iyenu Hospital, Ogidi; B. Our Lady of Hearts Hospital, Ihiala; C. St. Charles Borromeo Hospital, Onitsha; D. Holy Rosary Hospital, Waterside, Onitsha; E. St. John Hospital, Adazin Nuku. Also built the Joseph Mwilo Heart Center in this hospital, where heart surgery is now performed. 10. His government won the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation $1 million grant as the best performing state in immunization in the Southeast, with exemplary funding, with complementary funding with the state government. They used the money to build 10 maternal and healthcare centers across the state, particularly in rural communities, in partnership with the churches. 11. The state was the first to procure and distribute more than 30,000 computers to secondary schools, including 22,500 from HP. The managing director for Personal Systems Group, HP Inc., Mr. Fabrice Campoy, described the development as the biggest of such projects in the Middle East and Africa. In the Middle East and Africa. 12. The Anambra State government provided Microsoft academies to more than 500 secondary schools, which the head of Microsoft in Nigeria, Mr. Ken Span, described as the biggest such deployment in Africa. 13. The state provided internet access to more than 500 secondary schools, with the CEO of Galaxy Backbone, Mr. Gerard Ilukwe, characterized which the CEO of Galaxy Backbone, Mr. Gerard Ilukwe, characterized as incomparable to anything in the country. More than 700 buses were provided to secondary schools in the state by his government. 15. Boreholes were provided in schools all over the state. Numerous classrooms were built in all the 177 communities of the state. As part of the efforts to turn around the economy of the state, several companies were attracted to build their facilities in Anambra State. A case in point is Sam Miller, the second largest brewery in the world, which built their first greenfield facility in the state, which is today one of the most successful facilities they operate globally. A number of other companies followed the Sam Miller initiative and were all supported and encouraged under his government. A good example is Innocent Motor Manufacturing Company, from which the government purchased more than 1,000 vehicles. 19. Anambra State, for the first time, started close collaboration with recognized government security agencies, the police, army, navy, Department of State Security, civil defense, among others, offering them various types of support, including the provision of more than 500 security vehicles. The improvement in security was phenomenal, such that a former IG of police, Abubakar Mohammed, lauded Anambra State for not witnessing any bank robbery in Obi's last 3 years in office. To further enhance security, Anambra State provided at least one security vehicle to each of all the 177 communities in the state, as well as various organizations such as markets and churches. 21. His administration conceived and built from scratch the first state-owned teaching hospital, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu Teaching Hospital, Awka. His government commenced the planned development of the Bariam campus of the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, including the fencing, construction of internal roads, electrification, construction of the Faculty of Law Auditorium Administrative Block, Faculty of Agriculture Management Building, and others. His government attracted the World Bank support on erosion, National Erosion and Watershed Management Project, NEWMAP, to Anambra State. 24. His government was the first to do poverty mapping in Nigeria as a guide for the effective implementation of poverty alleviation strategies. 25. His government, for the first time, undertook the area mapping of Awka as well as the production of the structural plans for Awka Capital Territory, Onitsha and Nnewi. During his tenure, 26, during his tenure, and with his government support, Anambra State became an oil-producing state. He built the first secretariat complex to house state government ministries that were hitherto scattered around the state. His government commenced the development of the Three Arms Zone, comprising Government House, Governor's Lodge, Legislative Building / Speaker's Residence, and Judicial Building Chief Judge's Residence. 29. By the end of his tenure in 2014, more than 12 health institutions, including two hospitals, had secured accreditation compared to when he took off in 2006, when no health institution in Anambra State was duly accredited. 30. Anambra State was the first to undergo national peer review, which scrutinized state governments for good governance. Through the State Peer Review Mechanism (SPRM), an initiative of the Nigerian Governors Forum in collaboration with the DFID. 31. The Anambra Integrated Development Strategy (ANIT), a government model conceptualized and used by P2P, is today researched, evaluated, considered and referenced as an optimal good governance model that guarantees holistic and simultaneous development of communities. Alright, so that's on Obi. So let's get to my man. My man. I love this man. The man, Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed. I love this guy. I just pause a little bit and I'll continue because when these other guys that think they have monopoly to violence, when they come to him or when they come for him, he gives it to them. He gives it to them as they heart, right? So because sometimes these guys they just think that they have the monopoly for violence and they can insult anyone anyhow. But Baba Ahmed doesn't take that. All right, so let's continue. Let's read about him, and yeah, let's see what the manifesto has to say about him. All right, executive summary. I like this. Obviously, this person was from the academia. So let's start. Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed is an academician, I said it, businessman and politician who has been elected to the House of Representatives and the Senate and has an impressive track record of introducing major legislation and actively participating in transformative legislative activities. Hmm. Described as a political force to be reckoned with in his home state of Kaduna and beyond, he beat a two-time governor and serving senator in 2011, a triumph that confirmed solid relations from elite and grassroots support. He holds 4 degrees, including a PhD in economics. Inspired by the need to promote his family's legacy and the desire to put legislative aspirations into practice, he established and runs two leading private universities, a consulting firm, and a construction company with a workforce of over 1,000 people, including expatriates and highly skilled professional Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. As the founder and pro-chancellor of Bayes University, Abuja, he has successfully developed a vibrant university with 6 faculties. He is responsible for the development of a 200-bed teaching hospital with state-of-the-art medical facilities that provides comprehensive medical services to the public as well as high-quality medical education to its students. The hospital has a total floor space of roughly 14,000 square meters, making it the largest of its type in Nigeria and beyond. The hospital is intended to close a gap in the Nigerian healthcare system, minimizing medical tourism and contributing to national development. He also founded and is the pro-chancellor of Baba Ahmed University, Kano, which was licensed in June 2022. As a philanthropist, he built and donated 2 junior secondary schools in his constituency with a capacity of 4,000 pupils, which have graduated over 10,000 children as part of his corporate social responsibility (CSR) and commitment to making a difference in the society. By necessity, he presented himself as a champion of the new generation to be considered for the most appropriate office, a presidential nominee in 2019, which he believed to be a quest to urgently solve Nigeria's complex problems and transform it into a new era of economic prosperity, social security, and political stability. Education. University of Westminster, London, UK, PhD in economics. University of Wales. We're gonna talk about the education, the institutions first, and then the programs will follow. So we'll start afresh on the education. So institution first, program second. University of Westminster, London, UK. PhD in Economics, University of Wales, Cardiff, UK, MBA, University of Medjugorje, Borno State, Nigeria, MSc Economics, University of Medjugorje, Borno State, Nigeria, BSc Economics, Harvard Business School, Massachusetts, USA, owner slash president management, OPM 53, Harvard Kennedy School, Harvard Boston, Massachusetts, USA, senior executive course in national and international security, London Business School, LBS, London, UK, senior executive program, set 89, London School of Practical Economics, London, UK, certificate in practical economics, arbitrage consulting, certificate in strategies for managing equity portfolios, ICL, diploma in information management tools, Air Force Military School, Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria, GCE O level certificate. All right, so these are some of the pictures that it took. I think something could be improved. They could, I think you can tell this is for base university, and that's probably the university, but they could have given it figure numbers, and so we can reference them in the article. But so far so good. Employment history: founder and pro chancellor, Baba Ahmed University, Sharadar, Kano, Nigeria. Founder and pro chancellor, Base University, Kuchigoro, FCT, Abuja, Nigeria. Elected Senator, Federal Republic of Nigeria for Kaduna North Senatorial District, National Assembly, FCT, Abuja. Elected Member, House of Representatives, Zaria Federal Constituency, National Assembly, FCT, Abuja. Managing Director, MD, Base Research and Data Services, FCT, Abuja, Nigeria. Project Officer, Bill Finger plus Berger, United Kingdom, London, UK. Banking Officer, First Bank of Nigeria PLC, London branch. Officer 2, Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Company, Victoria Island, Lagos. Project Coordinator, Base Research and Data Services Limited. National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, Service Share. University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Ogun State. NGOs and clubs. Patron, Zaria Polo Club since 2012. Chairman, Renaissance Forum for Societal Reforms since 2006. Hobbies, squash, chess, debate. I see why you get that. All right. I do debate a little bit. Primary school, secondary school. You want to try? All right. Awards and recognitions. Awarded Fellow of Science Association of Nigeria, FSAN or FSAN, by Ahmadu Bello University, ABU Zaria, 2011. They can do it. The Nigeria we desire is possible. The Nigeria we desire is possible. All right, so we've come to the end of reading this manifesto. I had a lot of gaps, trying to read fast. Then I missed some lines, and again, I do this close to midnight, so it's like 12:30 right now. So I started some minutes to 12, and then going over. Actually, I started maybe around 11:30 ish, something like that, because it's been an hour I've been sitting here talking. So I do this late, so a little bit gaff, a little bit tired and stuff. But I just want to go through it because if I want to support someone, I can really know exactly where they're standing. If I want to agree with you, I have to know where you stand, and then I can see um, if I fully agree with you, if I fully stand with you. And so far, from what I've read, I think my decision is just justified, and what we see in those manifestos are things we've been hearing them talk about. You can hear my good friend Kenneth Okonkwo and Okeke, emphasize those seven priorities, and those were expatiated in this manifesto, telling us how they hope to achieve it. And some of the few things that we read there, you see so many reports that were already published out there, and but the government refused to give accent to those, so they're going to try to bring those to the fore, at least take some key components of it. And again, why would you commission someone to go and do a research, and then give you a report that you will not do anything with. So that would be very, very great. And then also when you see the focus they're trying to put on education, so that educational institutions are not just a place where you go to write exams and pass or fail. I remember in my university days, I don't want to say the name of the school, but if you know me, you will know the school, where lecturers has a quota of people that can get an A. One, one teacher once said to me, the number of people that will get an A is full. No matter what you do, you can never get an A. You know, So I was like, he said, even if you get 10 over, I was giving him an assignment, submitting the assignment. He said, even if you get 10 over 10, you will still not get an A. And I was like, what is this? And then he said, they are full. And he kept his word. I didn't get an A, and it was a practical exam. And if you know me, if you go to my other channels, you know that those things were things I did from primary school and secondary school. I knew them very well, but because yeah, some schools, if you don't cooperate, if you don't pay them, or you don't buy their handouts, you don't get an A, and they will let you know right away. If you don't pay, if you don't play ball, you don't get an A. So what these guys are trying to do, what Obi and Dati are trying to do, is to bring Nigeria to the place where research pays, your ingenuity pays, right? The private sectors can come in and partner with the schools. Like when I did my masters and my PhD, it was paid for by other people. Masters was paid for by BlackBerry, PhD was paid for by Lockheed Martins. People, they partner with you if you have a research that they're interested in. They partner with you, they pay you to go to school. I was paid to go to school, you know, and that's because you have something to contribute. So I think this would be great for Nigeria, where people can be going to school and they're not worried about their tuition. If you're smart, you're not worried about your tuition. Even if you're not smart, you can sit up. And yesterday I talked about that 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 little push to get you across the line. If you have that, then you can. It will pay. The efforts will pay for your schooling, and then once your focus is out of how do I sort these guys. That's the language they use in Nigeria. How do I sort the lecturers to pass? If your focus is taken away from sorting and plagiarism and like what we saw in Chatham House, you know assigning questions for people to send the answer from the windows, your focus is taken away from that, because you know that it's not about what you wrote right now in the paper to pass, but what you have, what you contribute, what you bring to the table. Then the focus will shift. It won't take long. It won't take long. The focus will shift. There are people who can build stuff, they can innovate, they can. I remember when I was in third year, I think. I was in a class and they were teaching us about multiplexing, and then a guy came through the window and told me he was standing by the window while the class was going on. I noticed him, but I didn't pay attention to him that much. But I noticed he was standing there. After the classes, he came into me and he said, "Sparkle, my other friend sent him to me, and he asked if I could design um, a remote control, volume control, something wireless volume control, something for a project he was building." I said, "Yes, I can do it." And then he said, "Do it now." I said, "You have to give me time to draw this circuit diagram." Now, the reason I'm telling this story was while the teacher was teaching us, telling us about multiplexers, how you can use two telephone lines and connect to eight other lines or something like that. My mind was going on how can I use this to design a product that I can sell, you know. But he was teaching us how telephone works, and it's already working that way. But I was thinking, how can I use it now in a different way, because it's already working that way today. So it's not really something new for me, but it's something that it's not something new for the world. It's something I can learn from and do something else. So after that class, long story short, I was able to put the sketch down, send it through the guy to my friend, and later when I met my friend Sparkle, he told me that it was working. Right. So if the focus was away from how do I pass, and the focus is on research. I could have written a proposal to the professor and say to the teacher, to the lecturer. I think he was a professor then. I could have written a proposal to him and say, hey, we can actually take this and make this product and make that product and all that. And you know, if it's a good proposal, they could pay you, and then you can create a product, and that's how the society is developing. They do that all over the world. So let's see these guys, what they're able to do for us in Nigeria. All right, please get your PVCs. Make sure you vote if you're of the age of voting. If you're not of the age, don't vote. There are some kids that will see their videos in some localities that were getting PVCs. That is wrong. That's illegal. Please don't do that. Don't vote. Even if they made you to take that, don't vote because you're not of the age. You have to wait until you're 18, then you can vote. And then I saw a video from Lagos where some people were in INEC office copying people's PVC numbers or some numbers is either PVC or NIN number. So we can do a little video on that sometime later. But please don't engage in this kind of malpractice. This is the reason we are where we are today. Don't make me say where we are, where. This is where we are today. Don't let us stay in the same place and complain. Many people are, thinking of jackbaration and all that. We can put a stop to that. Look at this beautiful manifesto that I took time to read. Sitting here for an hour, 11 minutes, and I'm going to try to end it before it is 15 minutes. But sitting here for over an hour, going through this, so that we can know what is there. You can fast forward to where you want. You can play it back and stuff. You can take snippets and do your analysis or whatever you want. But at least we've read through it together. So let us not stay where we were. Let's move. Let's move. Right? Enough of the complaining. Because when one government comes in, another one goes, we keep complaining. Sonny Okosun said, which way Nigeria? Did he know that we'll be here today? You know, I think Onyeko Onwenu and Co. They sang Nigeria Will Survive. I hope she's the one. The voice sounds like hers in my head right now. Nigeria will survive. My people will survive. Nigeria will survive. Oh, Nigeria will survive. We will survive. We will survive, but we have to do our own bit. We have to lift our own weight. We need to carry our own weight. And to carry your own weight, just vote right. And if you don't want to, if you are not obedient, I want you to be obedient. But if you don't want to be obedient, listen to your candidate and make sure that you are convinced that you can trust them to deliver on the promise of saving and rescuing Nigeria. Okay? Whoever you want to vote for, listen to them. But if they are not presenting themselves to be interrogated, why should you vote for them? I think my daddy, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think maybe I don't know if it was his handlers that were telling him or he just made it up himself yesterday or 2 days ago at the Chatham House when he said that his marketable commodity or so that they will be making money off him. That's why he doesn't want to present himself. It looked like a smart thing to say, but not really, because you are still being interviewed for the job. The people asking you to come are the people that want to get familiar with you and be able to connect. In America, they talk about this connection. You resonate with someone. They're trying to interrogate you to see if they can connect and resonate and identify and relate. These are the terms they use in America. People want to relate with what you're saying. They want to relate with your position. They want to identify with your position. But if you're hiding from them, and when they have the opportunity, even right there at Chatham House, when you think, okay, yeah, they can market me, they can take the money here, because I mean, you can make the money in Chatham House. I don't know if that's what you mean, that they want to use it to make money in the Nigerian media, the Arise News, or Channels News, or even TVC, your own station. TVC, it's your own station, right? So you can go there. You don't have to go to other places. You can go to TVC and talk to the people and let people come and ask you questions there. But they can make money for TVC. But if you don't want to make money for the Nigerians, you go to UK to Chatham House to make money for them, if that is what it means. to interview you, to interrogate you means making money for them. If that's what it meant, you went to the UK, and then they asked you a question, and then you outsourced it. You haven't gotten a job. And I was, watching Festus Kayamo on, what he put on Twitter, and then he put Joe Biden and his national healthcare guy. What's his name? Um, I forgot his name now. So they asked Joe Biden a question, and then he calls the the health guru to answer, to respond on that, and then he's using that as an example. But they're not the same. They're not the same because Joe Biden is a president, and they asked him a specialized question that requires the specialist to answer, and so he calls the guy to give an update. But Tinubu has not been voted in, and he's delegating. No, that's not right. So, um, present yourself to be interrogated and let us know. So if you want to vote for anybody, um, that's your prerogative. I think, yeah, the name I was thinking of is Fauci. Yeah, Joe Biden called Fauci to talk about certain things on health, and then Kayama was using that as an example. It just made me wonder, like, is that how he does in the court? He would just do a straw man argument, or just take something that don't relate and just put them together, and maybe he hopes that nobody will catch him, or is he doing his best? Maybe he's doing his best, and that's what he knows, and maybe that's how he's been going to court. I wonder if he wins cases like that. I hope that the judges are smarter than that, to know when you are just, you know, blowing hot air. They know that you don't know what you're doing, right? I hope that the judges can see through that, you know, just taking things that are unrelated and just using it for argument. Anyways, I said we'll try to stop this before 15, but it's now 17, so we're gonna end it here. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, comment. Right? Subscribe, like, share, and comment. And again, this is just to make sure that everyone gets to this. So this is the end of the series on the manifesto. So going forward, we're going to be looking at what other people are saying, what our candidate, our principal is saying. We're going to be amplifying his voice and trying to clarify a few things if there's need for that. Again, this is your unofficial number one spokesperson for the Obidient movement. All right, I am your number one, unofficial number one. All right, I'll see you guys later.